plan. There comes a moment in life when the silence becomes too loud, when the people you thought would catch you aren't there. Plan. And the weight you're carrying feels heavier than your own voice. Plan. We all grow up hoping that someone will come and pull us out of the darkness. We wait for the apology that never comes. Plan. The validation we crave, the hand that holds ours when everything is falling apart. But sometimes no one shows up. Plan. And in that painful, lonely space, we're forced to realize something life-changing. No one is coming. Plan. And that is not a tragedy. That is your turning point. Because the moment you stop waiting is the moment you begin. Plan. You begin to understand that the rescue you're praying for isn't on the outside. It's been buried quietly inside you all along. Plan. You realize that maybe you weren't made to be saved. You were made to rise on your own terms, with your own truth. Plan. Not because someone pulled you up, but because you looked within and decided to climb out of the wreckage yourself. Plan. You don't need someone to carry your pain for you. You just need to believe that you are capable of carrying your own light. Plan. You are not weak for having broken moments. You are strong because you didn't stop there. Plan. The most beautiful kind of healing happens not when someone says, "I've got you," but when you whisper to yourself. Plan. "I've got me." You don't have to wait to be chosen. You don't need permission to begin again. This is your life. Plan. And the most powerful thing you can do is be your own rescue. Plan. We grew up watching stories where a hero always comes. Someone stronger, wiser, braver. Plan. Who arrives just in time to lift us from the wreckage. And so we wait. We wait for the right moment, for the right person. Plan. For the sign, for the savior. We look outside of ourselves for the rescue, as if healing, purpose, plan, and direction are things someone else must hand us. But the truth is, plan. The rescue you're waiting for doesn't wear a cape or drive a miracle into your life. The rescue is you. Plan. And the longer you wait for someone else to save you, the further you drift from the truth that you are already equipped to rise. Plan. There's a version of you beneath the silence, beneath the heartbreak. Plan. Beneath the disappointment, a version that hasn't given up. That version might be tired, bruised, unsure, but it's there. Plan. Still breathing, still hoping, still waiting, not for someone else, but for you to notice her. Plan. The day you stop begging life to change and instead decide to change your response to it, that's when everything begins. Plan. Not with thunder, not with applause, but with a quiet decision: I will no longer abandon myself. You see. Plan. The people who rise aren't always the ones with the most help. Sometimes they're the ones who simply get tired of waiting. Plan. They look around and see no one coming, and instead of breaking further, they say, "Then I will do this. I will begin again." Plan. I will build from scratch. Plan. I will be the one to show up for me. That kind of courage doesn't come from being saved. It comes from being broken and choosing not to stay there. Plan. It comes from meeting yourself in the dark and deciding you deserve light. Being your own rescue isn't about perfection. Plan. It's not about strength without fear. It's about choosing to move forward even when you're scared. Plan. It's wiping your own tears and still believing in your worth. It's taking that first shaky step with no guarantees. Plan. It's choosing to trust that even though no one is holding your hand, your feet still know how to walk. Plan. You are not stuck because you are weak. You're stuck because you're waiting. But you don't have to wait anymore. Plan. You can begin right now. Strength is often misunderstood. We think it looks like shouting the loudest, winning the battles, plan, or standing tall without ever falling. But real strength, the kind that transforms lives, is much quieter. Plan. It's choosing yourself in the small, unnoticed moments. It's waking up on days when the weight of your past feels too heavy. Plan. And still whispering, I'll try again. The strongest people aren't the ones who have it all figured out. Plan. They're the ones who show up for themselves, even when they don't know how the day will unfold. Plan. Every day offers you two choices: shrink or rise. And most people, without realizing it, choose to shrink. To let fear win. Plan. To let past mistakes define their worth. To let rejection write their story. But the ones who grow are the ones who decide. Plan. In quiet defense. Plan. I will not abandon myself today. They brush off the dust of yesterday and choose themselves again. Their voice. Plan. Their peace, their healing. It's not a one-time act of bravery. It's a daily commitment. And every time you choose yourself, plan, you are rewriting your story. When the world doesn't see your pain, when your worth isn't being celebrated, plan. When your efforts go unnoticed, that's when the choice matters most. Plan. Because choosing yourself when no one else does is not selfish. It's survival. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. Plan. You're not waiting to be picked. You're no longer asking for someone to validate your existence. Plan. You're looking in the mirror and saying, I am enough for me. And that kind of self-trust, it's revolutionary. Plan. The truth is, we cannot live empowered lives if we're constantly abandoning ourselves to please others. Plan. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you don't care about people. It means you finally understand that your own peace, plan, your own healing and your own voice deserve space. Plan. It's not the loudest person who changes their life. It's the one who silently, steadily, plan, and consistently chooses to rise every morning, even with trembling hands, because they know, plan, no one can rescue them better than the person staring back in the mirror. We live in a world that glorifies perfection. Airbrushed images, plan, flawless skin, curated smiles. So we learn early on to hide the parts of us that look like failure, the pain, the cracks, plan, the scars. We cover them up with silence, with filters, with pretending. But in doing so, plan, we erase the most honest parts of our journey. Your scars are not ugly. They are not your weakness. Plan. They are the living proof that something tried to break you and failed. Every scar tells a story. Some are physical, plan, etched on the skin. Others are emotional, buried deep in the heart where no one else can see. Plan. Maybe it was the betrayal that broke your trust, the loss that left you hollow, or the day your body or your mind gave out. Plan. But here you are, breathing, existing, carrying the weight of everything you thought would destroy you. You may walk slower, plan. You may speak softer, but your scars say one thing loud and clear: you survived. Too often, we confuse survival with weakness. Plan. We think if we're limping, we've lost. If we cry, we're failing. But the truth is, healing isn't linear. Some days you rise, plan. Some days you retreat. And that's okay. What matters is that you are still here, still choosing to try, plan. Your scars are not shameful. They are sacred. They are a roadmap of where you've been and how far you've come, plan. They are not the end of your story. They are the reason you still have one, plan. Don't let anyone make you feel less for what you've endured, plan. Don't let the world convince you that your broken pieces make you less worthy, plan. The cracks in your heart are where compassion grows. The bruises on your spirit are where your empathy is born, plan. You didn't come through that pain to hide. You came through to shine, not in spite of your scars, but because of them, plan. They are not reminders of pain. They are reminders of power. Your power. We are taught to smile when we're breaking. Plan to stay silent when our hearts are screaming. To say, I'm fine, even when we're drowning inside, plan. And so we become masters of disguise, carrying invisible wounds behind well-practiced expressions, plan. But true healing can never happen in hiding. Pain that is buried doesn't disappear. It grows roots. It festers. It isolates, plan. Healing begins not when everything is fixed, but when we dare to bring our pain into the light, plan. There's something profoundly brave about saying, I'm not okay. In a world that rewards perfection, plan. Vulnerability feels like rebellion. But the truth is, we cannot heal what we refuse to face, plan. The moment you give yourself permission to stop pretending, to stop performing, is the moment your healing journey quietly begins, plan. It may not be loud or pretty. It may come with tears, silence, or trembling hands. But it's real, plan. And real is where the transformation begins. Your hurt deserves space, not judgment. And so often, plan. We wait for someone else to understand us before we allow ourselves to feel. But healing isn't about others validating our pain, plan. It's about us finally validating it ourselves. Looking at our wounds and saying, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt, plan. But it will not define me forever. When you stop hiding your pain, you stop carrying it alone. You start to unpack it, plan layer by layer, gently, patiently, not to erase the past, but to set yourself free from it, plan. Some of the most powerful healing doesn't happen in hospitals or therapy rooms. It happens in the quietest moments when we speak our truth, plan, even if our voice shakes. When we allow the tears to come without shame, plan. When we stop trying to be strong and start allowing ourselves to be whole, messy, emotional, human, plan. Because healing isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming honest, plan. And honesty begins when you stop hiding and start honoring what hurts. We often grow up believing that courage is something grand, plan, that it roars, that it stands on stages, that it makes headlines, that it's fearless. But courage isn't always bold, plan. It isn't always visible. Sometimes courage is just whispering to yourself, try again. After everything inside you says, plan, don't. Courage is sitting in the dark with your doubt, your pain, your fear, and still choosing to move. Even if it's only one small step forward. The world celebrates victory, but forgets how heavy the journey is. Plan. It forgets the mornings you have to drag yourself out of bed without a reason. Plan. The nights you fight your own thoughts to find just a few hours of peace. Plan. Courage doesn't come wearing armor. It often arrives wearing exhaustion. It comes after the fall, not before it. Plan. It walks with shaky legs, not steady strides. And the most beautiful kind of courage is the one that nobody sees. Plan. The one that only you know you had to find. Trying again doesn't mean you erase the past. Plan. It means you don't let the past stop you. It means acknowledging the pain, the failure. Plan. The grief, and still showing up with your wounds, with your scars, with your history. Plan. It means you don't wait to feel strong before you take the step. You take the step, and slowly your strength rises to meet you. Plan. Because courage isn't about feeling ready. It's about being willing. Plan. It's about not letting the fear of yesterday silence the hope of today. There will be days when trying again feels impossible. Plan. When the weight of your past mistakes pulls harder than your desire to heal. But even if all you can do is breathe through the pain, plan. That breath counts. Even if all you can do is stand still and not retreat, that stillness counts. Every tiny choice to keep living, plan. To keep loving, to keep believing, it matters. Courage isn't always a battle cry. Sometimes it's a quiet breath, plan. A trembling hand, a decision to try again anyway. There is always a moment, a painful, plan, hollow moment where we believe it's all over. A diagnosis, a betrayal, plan. A failure so sharp that it feels like the end of the road. We stand in the rubble of what once was and whisper to ourselves, plan. This is it. But life has a strange way of planting the seeds of strength exactly where everything seems to break. Plan. That place where you felt powerless. Plan. Where you thought you had nothing left. That's often the very soil where your true power begins to bloom. Plan. We rarely see it at first. Because power doesn't always feel like strength. Sometimes it feels like survival. Plan. Like getting through the next hour. Like crying in silence but still showing up. You see, plan. Your power isn't loud or instant. It's patient. It waits in the background while you grieve, while you feel, plan. While you gather the shattered pieces of yourself. And then, one day, when you least expect it, plan. You realize you're not who you were before the fall. You've grown, not in spite of the pain, but because of it, plan. Where you once felt broken, something unshakable begins to grow. A deeper kind of wisdom, plan. A voice that no longer asks for permission. A heart that beats with resilience instead of regret, plan. You discover you're not defined by what happened to you. You're defined by how you rose from it. Plan, and that's the power no one can give you and no one can take away. The power of self, belief born in your darkest hour, plan. The kind of power that isn't built by victories, but by surviving the battles no one else could see, plan. We spend so much of our lives looking for power in the wrong places, in approval, in status, in perfection. But the real power, plan, it's in your comeback, in your decision to keep breathing when life took your breath away, plan. In the way you carry your story with dignity, even when parts of it still ache. Plan. The day you thought it all ended might actually be the day your real life began. Not polished, not painless, but raw, real. Plan. And finally, entirely yours. Plan. That's where your power lies. Right where you thought you had none. We grow up surrounded by stories of rescue. Fairy tales where someone always comes in at the last moment to save the day. Plan. So we wait. We wait for the right timing, the perfect opportunity, the magical solution. We wait for someone to see our worth. Plan. To heal our pain, to give us permission to begin. But the longer we wait, the more invisible we feel. And one day, in the silence. Plan. We realize something deeply uncomfortable, yet profoundly freeing. No one is coming. No miracle, no savior, no perfect moment. Plan. Just us. This realization can break your heart, or it